Introduction, though, I will hop off. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm Taylor. I know all of you, so no need for an introduction. And today we are joined by the lovely Faith Morris. And Faith is the founder of Faith Morris Consulting, an operations strategist, and she helps business owners build the systems, the structure, and the clarity needed to grow without becoming the bottleneck themselves. What I appreciate about Faith's work is that she helps founders look beneath the surface. So often we assume that hiring more people will solve all of our capacity challenges. But if information, decision making, and ownership are still flowing through us, we can end up actually creating more complexity instead of more freedom. So, Faith has a gift for helping founders identify those hidden operational dependencies and create businesses that can run more consistently and sustainably. I feel like every time I always do these introductions, it reminds me of the beginning of Queer Eye. Like I know I've said this once before, but if you've ever watched Queer Eye, I'm like always hyping up like the next person. So in today's session, it is all about uncovering where those bottlenecks are hiding. And through a practical operational audit, you'll get a little clear picture of what's going on and keeping your business dependent on you, and where you can make the changes to create the greatest impact for your team, your growth, and your peace of mind. It's also so fun because I actually have a friend that's worked with Faith before. So I can really give like a +1, +100 to what Faith has been up to. So, Faith, we're so grateful to have you here in the Dreamers and Doers community and giving back in this way. Thanks so much.
I'm so excited to be here. Some of you I know, some I've never met. Obviously, stalked everybody who RSVP'd. But yes, I'm so excited to be here. This is a topic I'm super passionate about, love teaching, and just so grateful to be part of a community where you have the opportunity to facilitate and teach. And yeah, I hope to be a gift today in some way, shape, or another to everybody here.
Amazing. Cool. I can't wait. I'm going to go ahead and have you share your computer sound or your computer screen. And
Okay.
I am going to hop off of this and leave you all in the lovely hands of both Faith and Tori. And I will see you again so soon. Bye, crew.
Bye, Tay. Okay. All right. Share my screen. All right. Can everybody see my beautiful Canvas screen? Perfect. Awesome. All right. So if you're here, welcome in. And again, quick gut check before we start. If you've got a team, if you've delegated and you've done things and you're still feeling like a roadblock, you're in the right place. Over the next hour, I am going to hopefully help show you exactly, possibly, where a few cracks are in your business where potentially you're still the roadblock. And I'm really excited for you to have something tangible to walk away with to actually work with. Now, throughout today, throughout the next hour, if questions pop up, please either write them down or throw them in the chat. Tori will handle them and we'll do a nice Q&A at the end. So again, I know how that happens when you're like, oh, I forgot to ask that. So write it down or chuck it in the chat because I literally can't see the chat. So Tori will handle that. And at the end, we'll do a big Q&A. All right. And again, thank you so much for being here and yeah, trusting me with the next hour. So you are here because you did everything they told you to, assuming that everybody here has at least one team member or is building bringing on support. And so you brought on support, you've delegated, you've built a team, you did everything the internet advice has told you to do. And somehow your fingerprints are still on everything. You can have a team, but yet still every decision is flowing through you. Work is piling up, Slack pings while you're on vacation, taking a week off with your laptop feels like an absolute fantasy, right? Hiring people doesn't fix your problems. People were never the problems, but the infrastructure beneath it is what we're going to look at and hopefully work on fixing today. So before we go into it, who the heck am I? And who is running this thing today? So my name is Faith. I was born and bred in New York City. I traveled the world after college. I spent 8 years running operations in healthcare in Australia. I was managing 80 clients, 50 to 60 support workers. I was managing up to 10 teams at a time and government supported plans. I learned to triage situations through the 8 years of that experience. And something I actually didn't put on here as well is my parents run multiple events, organizations, and built a team of 25 at a very young age. So I almost grew up also learning from my parents, managing and running teams and understanding, oh, this person needs to go here, this person outgrew this. So that's also part of it as well. Fast forward, I moved to Australia. I moved back from Australia to the US. My husband is Australian, and we moved with 202, no income, and built an entire masonry business from complete scratch. So we have an in-person local business that I am the COO of, and we got booked out and profitable within a year. We now have a team, a virtual assistant, and one employee. Over the last 3 years, our gross profit margin has increased by 65%. And I realized very quickly in that business, it was a blueprint for, wow, this is kind of all my experience leading up to this moment of understanding the pieces of the puzzle, who needed to come in when to be able to scale and actually make this business what it is and remove myself from that business. And in our masonry business from year one, I was about 97% in the business. Year two, about 50. And now we're in year three and I'm in that business about 25%. And that is because of patience and understanding this execution sequencing that needed to happen in our infrastructure. So, what you're going to leave with today, before we dig in, let's look at what we're going to look at over the next hour. So, one, you will have a score for your business across the 3 layers of operational infrastructure. If you don't have a pen and paper handy or your phone notes app, get that ready now. 2 is you are going to be very, very crystal clear on where you're possibly still the roadblock. It's not going to be a vague feeling. It's going to be very, very clear. And 3, your single weakest layer, potentially the one that's capping maybe where your growth is. And then 4, your first move to fix it. And my goal is at the end of this, you have at least one small thing. It doesn't need to be something major to slowly move you towards the direction of getting out of being a roadblock. So by the end of this hour, you will have a very clear reason of why you're stuck and hopefully get you out of it. All right. So let's talk. Oh, sorry. Okay. Many founders, and the lie that we hear on the internet, okay, the most expensive myth in business is I'll just hire somebody. That hiring somebody is going to magically fix a mess. Yes, you have to hire to help delegate all the kinds of things. But a lot of founders believe a bigger team equals more freedom. And it's not wrong. The more people you have, the more willpower, the more manpower, can make more money, etc. But without the right foundation underneath them, every new hire becomes more complex and becomes more work. Okay. And it multiplies. It's not just more money, it's more time, more energy, more resources you actually need to give to that person. More people asking you questions, more work routed back to you, right? These are all parts of your infrastructure. And so let's start with defining the difference, right? You can still have a very, very full team and also still have a business that only runs when your handprints are on every decision or many decisions, thoughts, paperwork, etc. And it comes down to 3 things. Information, is it in your head or does it have a home in your business? 2 is ownership. Do people on your team own outcomes or are they just task ticking? And then 3 is decision making, right? Does it live with the team or does everything have to still climb up back to you? When those 3 pieces get stuck, becomes very, very hard for you not to be the one holding it together. And that ultimately makes you the roadblock. So these are the 3 layers we're going to be auditing today, okay? Because those 3 things live inside these 3 layers. And the 3 layers of operational infrastructure we're auditing are, 1 is the founder role. People forget that you, the founder, are part of your core team. If your role is not clear, how can everybody else's role be clear? Who am I and what is my role inside this business? And also, what is my dream for my role inside this business long term? Everybody wants to think very short term in their role. What is your vision for who you are in this business long term? And is that really clear to myself and everybody on my team? 2 is team ownership. Does your team truly know what they own or are they just task ticking? Does your team know, hey, if X, Y, and Z happens, it needs to get escalated. If X, Y, and Z doesn't happen, they don't need to know about it. Does your team know what they're co-creating with you, what they're delegating from you, and what you're keeping? And layer three is systems and tools. This is the tech, right? And this is what a lot of people think about when they think about operations. Oh, you scaled your tech? Awesome. The rest of your business is an absolute hot mess. Operations and systems are much more than just tech, but they are really important, obviously, for scale, right? Does your business knowledge live in a place, in a system, or is it all in your head? And I know a lot of founders are like, I have these great systems. I have my ClickUp. I have this. I do my 200K launch. Yet, so much of still what's going on in the business lives in their head, right? And this, again, you can talk about SOPs, all that, yes, is important. But people also forget that some people on their team are their own system. They're number twos that if they were to get hit by a bus, that person could take, that person's a system. And that person's, everything's in their head too. So, a wobbly layer one makes a layer two impossible, right? A messy layer two makes three pointless. Order really matters. I talk about execution sequencing a lot because one, people are very impatient. And two, people love to do things the order that the internet told them is the right order to do. Where actually, if you went a little bit slower, if you paused to really look at what's happening in your business, you actually would say, okay, I'm going to do this before this, even if that means the other thing has to wait 6 months to get done. So as we go through today, I really want you to think about the order in which things need to be done to help you get to a better place of living in your dream role for what you actually started this business for and the bigger vision for your life. So here's how we're going to do this, okay? I am going to share, we're going to go through each layer individually. And for each layer, I'm going to be reading you out 4 statements, and you'll be rating how true each of them is for your business, 1 to 4. Prior to that, we're going to talk a little bit about each one, and then at the end, you'll do the rate. So again, if you don't have a pen and paper, get that ready now, okay? So we're going to start with layer 1, your founder role, okay? Before we even talk about your team, the foundation of your business is you. You are part of your core team. And I see this a lot, right? People who started businesses themselves, oh, they got busy, oh, things are going well, they hire X, Y, and Z. And as that happened, they never sat to really define their own role, what they wanted to keep doing by themselves, what they were ready to co-create with somebody else, and the things in their business that needed to be delegated, right? Because by default, everything in their role becomes everything else no one else is doing, right? That's not a definition of what my role is, that you're telling me what you're not doing, right? You can't scale a business that only exists in your head. We all know that, but living that is very different. And I work with founders who they love being in the business. They love it. They're like, I don't want to be like fully out of the business. No one is saying that. But you need to get very clear on what is your lane of this is my role, this is what I keep, this is what I'm co-creating, and this is what I'm delegating. Right? And 2 things quietly start to happen here when this happens. And remember, as we go through this, you are the leader of your team. You are the culture you create for your team, the example that you set for your team. So 1 is role creep, right? You've never defined the 3 or 4 things that you should only be doing, so you're doing all of it, right? Your calendar is like an open vortex for anybody and everybody. And the second is energy leaks. Energy leaks. You spend hours and you don't even realize it, right? On draining low value work, right? Or again, just the work that no one else was hired or is hired to do. And so you get out of the creative and we forget why we even started this business. And I work with founders who, again, they're doing really well. We have a great team, but like, I'm not loving it. Like life is too short to not be obsessed with what you created, in my opinion. And this stuff doesn't happen overnight. A lot of founders, when you get into this habit of like, oh, I'm in the go, go, go here, and they don't have any room for the parts of the business they love, it takes time to create new scope, new boundaries to get back into that. But you don't even realize that over the year, oh my gosh, all my energy is leaking into these departments I don't even want to be in, and I have people for it. Why am I leaking in that way? So let's score. Pens up, everybody. We are going to rate each of these statements 1 to 5. Okay. 1, completely not true, and 5, completely true. So 1, and be really honest, guys. And I want you to be really scoring about the business you have now. not about what you're building towards right now. This is a safe place, okay? So, one, I can name 3 or 4 things I should actually be doing and spend my time there. 1 to 5. If you're feeling triggered, you should be. 2, if I disappeared for 2 weeks, work would keep moving without a pile of decisions waiting on me. If I disappeared, if I didn't go on vacation without my lap, if I went on vacation without my laptop. 3, my calendar reflects my roles, not everybody else's emergencies. Discernment. Is my calendar, does it have discernment? 4, I know very clearly which tasks drain me and energize me, and I've actually offloaded the draining ones. I talk to a lot of people who are like, oh, I know exactly what drains me and energizes me, but they've never done anything to slowly get themselves to be in a world, in a business that they're constantly energized, back in the only energized tasks. So 1 to 5. Can everyone give me a thumbs up if they're done? Cool. All right, let's go into layer 2. My favorite, team ownership and accountability, right? This is where I have a team, my team runs without me, right? I'm going to split this right apart because people having a team, okay, is not the same as people having teams with ownership. Most teams and people hire very reactively and hire out of like, I just got to get these tasks done. I just got someone to own this, own that, blah, 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 blah. But the minute something falls outside that task list, it ends up back on your desk. Okay. And a lot of these leaks start to happen when people don't hire well. Hiring, FYI, is one of the most exhausting, long processes you will do as a founder if you do it right. Because in order to hire well, you need time, energy to interview, to do test projects. And again, I know people who don't even have welcome packets or process of bringing somebody in outside of we had a kickoff call and an onboarding. How do you bring in your team to understand not just who they own, like what they own and their accountability, but what is their role inside the culture that you've created for your business? So again, this is where we look at the gaps between people and leadership and teams. And I'm talking about teams. When I talk about teams, I talk about contractors, employees. The minute you hire somebody, whether they're a contractor or an employee, for 1 hour or 40 hours a week, you are leading. Okay. And like I assumed you were, handling that moments, right? Those things happen because it lives in the space of like different roles or you and a role that you're trying to hire for or did hire for, right? If you can't draw a simple org chart of every core function of who owns what, okay, you have an issue with your people and not accountability, right? You have a problem with the clarity of roles and who is doing what. And if you're not clear, nobody should be hiring if you don't have a clear role defined. I see this a lot. Again, they think their role is tasks. A role is not just like what people can do, like, oh, sort out my go high level, sort my inbox. Like, no. Okay. And because of that, your org chart doesn't have people, it just has like a bunch of random tasks. So let's score again. Are we ready? Same drill. 1, completely not true, and 5 is completely true. So 1, every person on my team can tell you exactly what they own, and so can I. Because I see this a lot too. You think you know what they own, or they know what they own, or you're actually not sure because you've been working together for 5 years and like it's all kind of morphed together because you hired them for one role, then they started doing things. So now we're 5 years in and I think I know what they're doing, but like I trust them. How well do you know what they own and how well do they know what they own? 2, when something falls through the cracks, right? If a drop happens, it's very, very obvious whose job it was. 3, my team makes decisions in their lane without everything routing back to me. Or my team makes decisions in their lane and they know what needs to be routed to me and what doesn't. 4, I assume you had that gaps between your roles. And this happens when your team grows, or maybe what I call rescue role happen is you hired one person And again, they started taking, you're like, oh, you can do that. Oh, you can do that. And then you realize, oh, I need an expert for that. So you bring that in, but now that person's confused of like, oh, do I have that? Or are they doing that? So there's no gaps between roles. Take a minute and give me a thumbs up. Cool. All right. And finally, layer three. Okay. Oh, entrepreneurs, they love the tool collection, right? We go through this. It happens very quickly when scaling, when maybe you started in Google Documents or whatever it was, and you're like, oh my gosh, I was on this call. This person told me I needed this tool. If I had this tool, this would make everything better. This everything would run super, super smoothly. Tools are rarely the problem. I have seen people run extraordinary businesses in Dropbox and Google Docs, honestly, right? It's not you, oh, you need this other tool. Tools, yes, are absolutely going to help you, right? But people get shiny object syndrome with tools, and nothing is going to fix internal mess first. Okay. Tools will come in so handy, and the right tools at the right time when you have the right people in the right seat being able to function with said tool. Okay. So it's not like which tools do I have? It's whether your business's knowledge has a system that everybody knows, right? I honestly, I worked with a founder, entire business in Google Docs and Dropbox. I was shocked. But you know what? Her team knew exactly where things were perfect. And they were going to do a big shift to a ClickUp or whatever in the next 6 months. But in the meantime, that wasn't a gap for them. They learned that system. Did it make it hard for her to feel confident bringing somebody in because the person that created this system in Google Docs started with her from the start? Absolutely. Things work until they don't, right? And a lot of people outgrow their systems and their tools, but they keep scaling. And then when they have to play catch up, they get into trouble. Okay. And there's two signs that your systems or your tools are working against you. So one is there's no source of truth, right? The answer to like, where does this live? Or like, oh my God, I have to ask that person. Everything is scattered across DMs, email, and half three, half app, like, three apps that you have subscriptions to that you barely use. This happens a lot with familiar teams where, oh, we just got into a habit. It's just always the way it's been. I was working for a company making over 1 million a year. Their entire to-do list their entire like list project management across 4 people lived in a shared iPhone app. I almost died. I was like, you're kidding, right? But they're like, oh, it's always just been this way. Okay. Where it's like, that's crazy. But like, just because it's always been this way doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's efficient, and doesn't mean it couldn't be better, right? And the worst thing is when people are paying for software they don't even use because they think it's going to fix it. So the second is the tool bloat, right? Like you're paying for all the software, you're barely using it or half using it. And also, you as the founder allow the tool bloat. You are leading your team. Your team is looking to you for how things run. So if you say, oh, we accept clients to talk to us via Slack and email, and oh, I'm gonna let my team also email me instead of putting it in our ClickUp or our Notion. Like you're the problem. You're creating a culture inside your business that says, I give you permission to do X, Y, and Z inside these tools, right? Your team is looking for leadership from you. All right, let's score ourselves. Final layer. One, not true. Five, completely true. So one, our key processes are documented somewhere other than my head. Two, we use our tools fully. No paying for software we barely touch and no duplicates around the same job. Three, oh, I want to know people's answers to this. A new hire could find what they need without asking me where it lives, which is the same as I can go on vacation and my team knows where X, Y, and Z is and they don't have to ping me to know. And then four, information has a home, right? We're not digging through emails or apps or DMs. Things have a home. The best, most impressive people I worked with are so highly organized, just not efficient because they don't have enough hours in the day. So, like across their apps and email, they're so organized, but they don't have enough hours in the day to even figure out how do I dig through all of this to even find X, Y, and Z. So, score yourself. This is layer three. All right. Moment of truth. We're going to write all three down. Layer one, the founder role. Layer 2, team ownership. Layer 3, tools and systems. Okay? Write them all down. I'd love to see. Oh, actually, I think I found the chat. I don't know where it went. Oh, here it is. Um, okay, I'd love to see people's numbers. I'm gonna put my screen thing over. Oh, you guys can see them each other. Oh my gosh, don't cry. Don't cry. Everything's gonna be fine. I'd love to see. So I'll move this. Oops. Ooh. Okay. So here's what these numbers mean, right? If you are in the 16 to 20, great, right? That layer isn't holding you back. Great. Okay. 11 to 15, there are cracks forming. It's working until it doesn't. And listen, I will say, do not fix what isn't broken, but you have to be prepared to fix it when the cracks start happening. And most people start fixing when it is completely, fully cracked in half and separated, right? These are signals, okay, we have some cracks here. We need to start thinking about filling them. And if it's between a 4 and a 10, that layer is a leak. It's a leak and it's actively keeping you stuck in the middle in a roadblock somewhere. So let me know in the chat, which I can see here, which layer was your lowest? If you're comfortable, I should say as well. If you want to share. Thanks, Carly. Tools. Yup. Yeah, we see cracks, Chris. Like cracks form. Yeah, like it again is very, very hard when we're inside it. It's very hard to see any kind of gaps when you're fully inside of it. Cool. Okay. Tools again. Interesting. Interesting. Awesome. I mean, not awesome, but like, yeah. Okay. So, by the way, I hope you guys know I'm using the word roadblock instead of bottleneck because I can't with the word bottleneck. So, here is the rule, right? And it's simple. Your lowest score is your current roadblock. And whichever layer scored lowest, that is probably a very good reason why you possibly feel there's a cap of growth. Okay. And it might not be the loudest problem, right? Maybe, and again, sometimes the loudest problems are the things that are stressing us out today. But right now, we're only focused on the lowest score, right? And if you're tied for the lowest, start with the lowest numbered layer because they build on each other, right? Like you can't fix team ownership while your own role is undefined. And no tool is going to save a team that doesn't own anything, right? So it's the role first, your role first, then the team, then the tools. Always in that order. So this week, and if you follow my content or you end up in my world, you'll see I talk a lot about snail movements. Any kind of change, growth, investment, change, like foundational changes, any major scale in your business, people think these insane gestures have to happen. It is the snail pace movements, the 1% movements that will literally change your business for the better long term. The problem is the 1% snail pace changes aren't what people want to focus on because they're not shiny. They're not great for Instagram reels. And I share this example a lot with, so Stephen Bartlett, if anyone knows him, Diary of a CEO, and he talks about the 1%. That's not me. I don't own that. And he talks about how they spent a significant amount of time A/B testing something so stupid that people were like, this is so dumb. Like the covers of his YouTube shorts or long form video, different colors. And what they found was one color in the video, whatever, generated 1,000,000 times more views or whatever than the original one, which ultimately longer term transformed like the video, views on the Diary of a CEO. That is something that is a 1% change that, people would say that's not a good use of our time. Like, are you joking? So 1% snail pace. So this week this is your assignment. So if your founder role was the lowest, all you're going to do is you're going to brain dump every overwhelming decision that came across this week, right? And you're going to circle the ones that truly don't need you. If you really think about, does this need me or do I want it to need me? You're convicted. Okay. You're going to write a whole list. What can you truly, truly delegate or does it need you that you can plan on? Okay, I really want to be able to be fully hands off of this longer term. If your lowest was team ownership, you're going to write down one line for every single core function in your business that really helps it run, the main core functions. And then you're going to write who owns it. If you cannot find out who owns what across each core function, that's your leak. And you need to start having some conversations with your team. Call a team meeting. Because I guarantee if you ask people to write their job descriptions, think about if they could do that or not. You might assume they can. And as somebody who interviews founders and their teams, not because they're not amazing, but 90% of the time there are things that like, oh, they wrote down, didn't exist here. Founder called them an ops person. Nope, they're literally just an EA. Oh, that called this person an OBM. Nope, they're a VA, right? All these different, I assume we know who's doing what changes over time. And lastly, if your tools and systems were the lowest, right? What is one source of truth that would make a massive difference in your business? And I put it into categories: project management, communication. Like just even start there. Where does my team know? Where is my to-do list with my team? Where are we tracking projects in one space? Okay, not counting Google Drive, right? And communication. How do I want to communicate with my team? How do I want communication to flow with clients? Right? I have a lot of people, yeah, Slack is great internally. And, oh, sorry, Slack is really great with clients and they use their ClickUp chat internally. Or, oh no, we have workspaces for our internal team and then we have a workspace for clients. But and also, what are you going to do to make sure your team sticks to that? A lot of people say, I have these things in place, Faith. I have them in place. Great. Where are those expectations written for your team? Oh, I didn't know I could find it there. I didn't know we were moving forward fully with that. SOPs don't need to be complicated, but SOPs are ultimately expectations on how to do things and how you as a leader are running your business. You are the boss. And I work with people who have a lot of number twos who almost they see them as equal or they're dual roles. They're not. You pay them and ultimately you are the decision maker. How do I want to be communicated in this business? How do I want my team to stick to this? And I'm going to set a meeting to let everybody know that we're going to reset some expectations on how we do things in this business. So I promise you, I hear like, I'm ready to burn it down. Get rid of everything. It's tempting. It's very tempting because, the internet glamorizes agencies and this and that until all these things happen. And you don't need a million ideas. You guys have so many ideas. The visionaries, those are the people that are kind of like scaling and growing and bringing on teams. Your business will be changed when you have a clear role, a team that knows their lane, and systems that hold knowledge. Those three things are the starting point to helping you become a phenomenal leader inside your business. It's not about just like, oh, we're doing all this client work. No, I want to be a leader for the people inside this business. And I'm going to set the tone for these three main categories so we can bring in awesome clients and we can also continue to build a great team. People talk a lot about referrals for clients, and a lot of my clients come from referrals. I pray to God that people talk about working for me the way that people talk about referring. I want people to say, oh man, you want to go work for Faith Morris. The way that that team runs, the culture she's creating, the integrity she has, but all of that lives inside me knowing who I am inside my business, being really confident in the team that I'm bringing in and who is doing what, and that I know what lane everybody's staying in. And I'm really confident in the systems that we're creating or we're working towards. Okay. I don't want to be the one that holds it all together. So today, start with the layer that you found today. That's it. Just one small change. And hopefully, slowly, you stop being the glue, and you can slowly move back into being the role that you ultimately created yourself when you started this business. So today you knew where you were stuck. And that's a really hard part for a lot of people and a lot of people to kind of, accept that. And the next is building the infrastructure underneath it. So you're out of that roadblock for good. And if you want to partner in that, here I am. I have different ways that people can work with me. I'm very, very passionate about working with teams. I hope that you got that today. I have my ops diagnostic, which is for entrepreneurs that are in growth mode, a very deep audit of your business where I interview the founder, I interview your team, and then you have me in 60 days in contain Slack after a full like done for you strategy and audit. I have my 6 week sprint, which is a done with you strategy and execution into various half done projects and loops and things that happen when you're running a business with a lean team and everybody's at capacity. And I have before you bring them on, which is my hiring audit and really helping people know how to hire well, onboard well, retain well, and actually know what they need. And I want you to remember from the bottom, you cannot run a business that lives in your head. But I promise you, as you know which of these 3 layers keeps moving, the first move that you have to do though is change it. And you have to make a commitment. All right, I'm going to change this one thing. So go find the leak. Let's fix it. My DMs, I want you to DM me after this or whenever next week and be like, I did it. Set the meeting. I audited my tools, whatever it may be. And we will build the rest. So thank you so much. I'd love to hear some questions. Tori, I don't know if questions came through. I'll stop sharing in a
Well,
second.
yes. Well, let's move into questions next. But first, I want to thank you, Faith. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Everyone, if you can help me by sending some love and confetti in the chat to Faith for sharing her time, wisdom, and care with us today, that would be fantastic. And if there's something that particularly stuck with you or helped, mention that in the chat as well. We're going to dive into QA in a moment. But before we do that, I'm going to drop something in the chat. Couple of relevant links in the chat, including our feedback form and the form to submit an event idea in case you yourself want to host like this. So let me drop those links in the chat. Let's see. Hopefully it'll let me send this link. Okay, there we go. We actually didn't have any specific questions come through, but there were a lot of heads nodding, a lot of I feel this, I love this slide. And so I'm curious if anyone had any questions that came up as you shaking your head, nodding, or feeling that. So yeah, let's open it up for Q&A.
Or even if you have a very specific question relevant to like your business, a scenario, would love to talk through it.
I
Also,
do.
oh, Carly, I love
Would
you.
love would
Yeah.
love a little one-on-one real-time help. How I find things is I go, well, yeah, I just use my Slack as a search bar. And then I also use my Chrome search bar as a search bar of like it'll remember where my budget is and my thing. And I'll use my text message search bar also as a search bar. And that's what I do. And it works because that's my only terrible system that I've used for years. And the thought of even having to learn a different system, even knowing that it will be faster eventually and better, I don't want to do it.
I feel that. So let me ask you this. What are you searching? Like, what are you searching across Chrome and Slack and text? Like, what are you looking for?
Well, it depends. And usually at least like so across Chrome, like all of my budgets are in Google Sheets and they're titled different things. So as long as I remember the title, like I can find it. Like
Okay.
don't.
Got it. Instead of like having it organized in a Google Drive.
Yeah. And then like anything like a deck or something that my team has sent me or a thing like it's in Slack because that's where we like send that stuff. And then if it's like someone I met out and it's more like a social, like it's in my text.
What would you
And
say
there's
is
also
like,
like yeah.
what's the number one thing you're referencing the most of those 3 things? Like my Teams decks, my Google Sheets, blah.
Maybe Slack. Where it breaks is when things have like the same name or I don't remember. It was like we abbreviated it. And then I'm like, I can't. I
Okay.
guess that project's not gonna happen. I can't find the budget for it. So yeah.
Any kind of change. And Carly, like you run a very successful business, big team, like you're used to big volume. I mean, this is not surprising at all. I'm like, you're very efficient, very organized. You're just I call it like type C, like disorganized, organized, right?
Yeah.
And the idea of moving anything is like anxiety central. Like there's just no way. And I've had it in different ways. Like I'm very like this, but my Canva got out of control. I was like, this is
Yeah.
psychotic, right? So did my Google Drive. But what's interesting, there's certain things we're like, okay, if I could pay somebody to like go sort my Canva, no problem, but nobody's touching my Google Drive. There's like certain things you're like, nope, I don't want anybody to touch that. Or two, I need to, I call it Australian language, like pull your finger out and you got to make time to do it. Problem is you try to do everything at once. My advice would be you start with one thing. The number one thing most annoying you, okay, the way that my team is communicating in Slack with Dex and X and that, we have to change that. So one, we need to create an SOP about how we label Dex. So and you get to decide, okay, we're going to do client last name version 1. And or we're going to move into a system where it's live editing and we shouldn't have like 5 versions, right? That's one. So we got to figure out a way. How are we going to, that's an SOP. University, as of Monday, we label things like this. 2, all decks must be sent in X. So if it's going to be in a Slack channel and you're like, look, everyone likes it, we don't mind it, great. Create a Slack channel. Decks,
Just for
client
decks.
decks, right? Like I'm not going to say go send them through email or whatever. It's like people like, oh my, some of my V's are in WhatsApp. Great. You can grandfather systems in, but you just
Mhm.
have to think if somebody new comes in and I hire somebody new, when I'm training them, am I able to say, hey, X, Y, and Z happens here. When we do decks, because we do a lot of back and forth of editing decks and reviews, it all happens inside this Slack channel to keep it organized.
Mhm.
Great. Perfect. That's all. Just one. And you're going to say, I'm okay. I'm going to commit to just fixing that one thing in the next 2 weeks. And these are the kinds of things, right? And again, people hire me and I talk about this a lot in my content. If we all admitted that we needed babysitters and accountability partners at different stages of our business, we'd all be millionaires, right? Sometimes you need a babysitter to be like, hey, Carly, did you do it? Is it done? Did you mark it on your calendar 2 hours? Like I have like LinkedIn outbound on my calendar. It's so dumb, so stupid, but I actually need it in there because then I can't go to the beach. Like it sounds so dumb, right? You need
Yeah.
to do things like that. If you don't have a number two on your team or somebody that you can hold you a business coach or whatever, to babysit, like, all right, I got to give myself a week or 2 weeks to do this one task, create an SOP, have a team email or meeting about it of how we're going to continue to label, and that's it. And then after you're that, then we're going to go into the Google Drive. So it's one thing at a time. Not everything is 911. And that's the difference when we think about what's urgent versus what's important, right? And I always tell people, what's like the number one thing pissing you off? Like I can't deal with like all the different deck, like that is the 911 because I can handle my Google Sheets. I'll like deal with that problem. But the deck stuff involves my team, people crossing. No, we need to fix that. Once we fix that, phase 2, because ultimately all three of these things you're talking about, no one's going to die. No one's going to die if you don't do it for 6 months. It just becomes very annoying. So you're just going to start with one and you're going to give yourself grace to not do the other two. So
Give
let
your
me
Samantha. I need an adult babysitter. Totally. Is
100%.
that one of the offer? Is that one of the offers, Faith? I didn't see that
I'm
on your
literally an
slide.
adult babysitter. So I want to know, Carly, in your calendar in the next 2 weeks, do you have 2 hours to sit down and plan out how you want to move forward with Dex?
Probably.
Okay. So great. I will text you tomorrow and make sure that you have that on your calendar.
The
Yeah, great. I
accountability.
can't wait. I can't wait to dodge this text. It'll be good. It'll be good for our relationship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you do it? Um, yeah. Anybody else?
I'll ask what I think will be an easy answer for you and specific. So I know like SOPs is the thing that I knew was my problem, and coming in here clarified that too. And since accounting firm, so we have client folders for everyone. I
Hmm.
feel like I'm stuck. Like, am I putting all of my SOPs in one SOP folder so everything's in one spot, or am I putting like client SOPs every like that's going specific into the client folder, but then firm SOPs go somewhere else? I feel like I don't
Are
even
these SOPs for like the clients need the SOPs or they're for your team?
for our team, but it could be like, okay, well, there's SOPs for how to do things general internal, but then SOPs like client specific on how to do this for a client related to like what's going on with them, you know?
Now, I'll just say this. The operations tech world, they love a fucking, excuse me, they love an SOP. Guys, SOPs, they're so great, they're so necessary, but there's no like crazy formal thing going on in your business. Like SOPs, I have SOPs that are like Google Docs with a link, with a video link. I have some, they're all over the place, but they work for me, right? So the first thing you have to figure out is, okay, one, SOPs are really helpful when you're confused, like things of crowdsourcing from like your team of like, you guys, how can we better organize this? Because your team is the one using them most. So organizationally, right? And if that person on your team is like, let's just say it's an account manager at a firm, like they're going to be hiring the next one. Where do you think it's a really good way to organize it? My opinion would be, yes, you absolutely have one SOP, one massive folder in your Google Drive, SOPs. Click it, and you have subfolders. So you have internal SOPs, client specific SOPs. The client specific SOPs just get duplicated and put into that client folder. One extra step, but then it's just in one place. And if your team isn't in the client folder and they happen to be in the firm Google Drive, they can still see that client SOP. So that's what I would do personally to keep it like in one concise place.
Yep.
And then you can say to your team, as you build SOP, so then this is, so how we build SOPs, if you're creating an SOP for a client, you need to create it, put it in our team Google Drive, and duplicate it and put it in the client's folder. That's the process. So your team has to be aware of what the process is.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, if you have a number two or someone's been with your team for a while, it's also really hard for them to give you advice because they've just been going on with your chaos. Like, I have people who, like, I've worked with, they've been with their, like, an OBM, been with someone for like 5 years, love them. But, like, they've just allowed the founder to live in this chaos and they're just living in the chaos instead of being like, hey, actually, I think this could be done differently. And that's like my kryptonite. Like, I'm in something for like 2 days and I'm like, all right, we got to fix this. It's awesome. But if we just did X, Y, and Z, oh my God, it'd be amazing. But when you're so in it and your team is in it, and I say familiarity hides leaks. So here's an example. I have one client on retainer, my unicorn client, and we had hired HR, like she hired fractional HR, went through all these things, and then she just hired her first person 6 months ago to go through really like this new system. Of course, there were going to still be cracks, but that person was so great because they were just completely fresh. They had no insight into anything else. So we got a lot of really great feedback on, oh, that's a gap still. We don't need this in the welcome thing. This felt a little bit messy because they're not emotionally in it, which is great when you hire new people. Was that helpful?
Yep. Thanks.
How many people do you have in your team, Samantha?
4.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Ariana, am I saying that right?
Yes, you are. Thank you so much. I'm like the only one off camera. I apologize. I've been in
That's
meeting
okay.
hell all day. But for you, Faith, thank you so much. I needed this push. I think my thing is like I'm a solo founder and I think it's just like stuff everywhere. It's just unorganized. So like I'm similar to I believe it was Carly in terms of like my Google Docs they're not sorted. Like I would have to search for it. I would have to know it. I can't offload that to like even an intern to be able to do that. Even on like the Canva front, like there's duplicates and there's all the things to sort it. So my question to you is like, for that process of me going, because I'm definitely going to do the one thing in 2 weeks, is that one of like this sorting and organization piece being the number one problem of the clutter? Is that where a tool can kind of come in and help me sort? Is it no, roll up your sleeves, you need to sort, you need to kind of like create these things? How is that process if like your number one irritant is just like there's just stuff you just can't find it?
Yeah.
So
Like I said, Carly, you start with one thing, right? You're starting with one thing. Now, there is a plethora of options, okay? And you have to really weigh your options up with time and money, right? And what the actual task is. Because again, nobody wants to do the boring stuff in business that it takes to scale sustainably and well. Everybody wants the flashy shit. Sorting your Google Drive is the worst. It's the worst. And until you're at a place where you have somebody on your team can do it, it's annoying. But guess what? You decided to start a business, and there's a lot of boring things that happen when you start a business, right? Now, great example, the Canva. I got to this point with Canva. I was like, this is crazy, miserable. I don't want to do this. Now, my time, I own another business. I'm a mom of two, 4 and 5-year-olds. My time is worth more than I can say. And I was like, I need to pay somebody to do this. I don't know. I'm like, I don't even know how much it costs. I have like literally no idea. Long story short, paid someone $100. Was that $100 worth it? I would have paid her $500. Why? It just needed to get off my plate and done. And she created a system that now it's very easy and it's organized, right? My Google Drive right now, I agree. Like I can't have somebody do that, but me complaining about it, literally, actually, and it's funny because this happened to me on Monday. I was like, all right, it was in my, I had to do it. It got built up. And listen, my Google Drive is like to a T. Like it is beautiful. And then until it gets a little bit backed up. It took me, I time myself on my iPhone. This is my trick. Like I literally am like, how much was my complaining worth it? You know how long it took me? 32 minutes. I thought this thing was like climbing Everest. That's how bad had gotten. So sometimes it's in our head, right? And I hate to say it to some people, some things are just a you problem. It's boring business stuff. And when you don't have a team, you have to do it. And like, you have to think, or actually, is it like worth, when people are like, oh, AI can do it. Oh yeah, we're going to spend 3 hours training your AI to do it. So just know that too. Like when you hear people say that, just be like, calm down. You actually have to train the AI to make it efficient for you. So no, it's not magically efficient. So unfortunately, you either have to have the money to pay somebody for an easy task like that, or two, admit that it's boring. And the boring stuff is what builds businesses. And you gotta just put a little time aside, put an hour. You don't need any more than an hour. You can do it.
Thank you so much. I needed to
You're
hear
welcome.
all of that.
I know. It's boring stuff, guys. It's the boring stuff. Oh, you think I want to spend my day? No, but until you have the money or the resources of the team or VA or whatever it is to do it, it is you. And if you're like, oh, I do have a VA, but then you also have to train that person. Just remember that. A team member doesn't magically just know things. You have to spend time training people, giving them access to you. Bringing on somebody is not magic. And I hear it a lot. Oh, I thought she'd just take initiative. Same. Like what? I know, but don't worry. Gonna be
Faith, I
fine.
love that you just called out actually how much time it took you to do something, because I think that's so true when we build something up in our heads about how cumbersome a task it's going to be. And
Oh,
then when you actually execute it, you're like, oh, that actually wasn't so hard to do. I mean, it's like my family with unloading the dishwasher. I mean, you think I'm asking them to like crawl to China and back. And I was like, I bet you can do it in 45 seconds. Go, and then sure enough, but I think that, if we have that mindset going into a lot of these tasks and to like bundle,
mm,
like carve out an hour and a half, on, a morning when you don't feel like creating content, or you don't, when your brain
yeah,
isn't turned on to do sort of a mindless task.
yeah,
And it's amazing how much, yeah, how less intimidating it is when you actually do it.
totally. And I would say as well, I know people are like, oh, I do carve out the time. But the problem is you've carved out the time, you're at your computer. But while you're at your computer, you start doing it. Oh, an email comes in. Oh, the LinkedIn ding. Oh, the Slack ping. And then all of a sudden you're context switching. I love encouraging people to go on Do Not Disturb. I live on Do Not Disturb. If I'm like locked in, you should be on Do Not Disturb because the context switching drains your battery. You don't even realize it. You're like, I sat down to do, oh, it'll take me 3 seconds. Boom. Okay. Oh, and then like 20 minutes later, somebody ping you on Slack. Boom. And then at the end, you're so resented at this stupid task when actually it was a you problem. You allowed yourself to context switch between things because you needed to check your Instagram because you were doing a mindless task. No, you don't. Go on Do Not Disturb, get it done. Anybody else before we wrap up? This has been so fun. This has been so great. Thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Yay. Thank you, Faith. This has been awesome. Oh, do we have another question?
No, just saying thank you.
Oh. Thanks, Carl. And please, like, if anything comes up after this session, like, I know what happens. Sometimes you're like, it comes in a couple hours. Please feel free to DM me on Dreamers and Doers. If you don't have me on LinkedIn, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always in either like LinkedIn, Threads, or Instagram stories. That's where I hang. But yeah, please don't be shy. Please send me a message.
Bye, guys.
Okay?
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Yay.